take me with you. I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and grow.
Hello and welcome. I am so glad you're here. I'm Beth, a creator-based coach with CMH Coaching for Life. I'm here today to help you and those you love create a life you feel grounded and at home in. Think of a life where you feel peace, love for those around you, and in a flow with just enough challenge to keep you happy and creating something wonderful. Sounds like magic, but it's not. You can create that life every single day. You can have a life full of love, excitement, hope, and creation. Our mission at CMH Coaching is to flood the earth with light through compassion, mindfulness, and hope. And I'm going to ask a favor of you. If you like what you see and hear today, think of someone you know that would enjoy and benefit from this message. Our mission is to flood the world with compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Share this with them. But for now, this is time just for you. So settle into whatever you're doing and enjoy this time with the girls, where we create that one awesome, amazing, perfect life every one of us is seeking.
And I know.
Oh, welcome to Jumpstart. We are so excited that you've come to join us today to learn about essential oils and all of the beautiful emotional benefits that we can get from them. Jennifer is here, Jenn, to help us out and to teach us all about emotions and essential oils. So Jenn, teach us all about emotions and essential oils, because we all have terrible, or what we perceive as terrible, difficult emotions. We go through things that rattle us or shake us in some way or make us really mad or really sad, or
we have
beliefs we don't want to have. Yeah.
Emotions. We have big emotions. We have intense emotions. I know everybody uses like positive and negative for emotions, but I'm learning that emotions are information. They're just cues and clues to what we're dealing with. And so they serve a purpose, whether we categorize them as negative or bad, or we categorize them as good. So anyway, I want to get into, I guess I need to share my screen, right?
Well, only if you want us to see what you're looking at.
Yes, but
yeah, I'm excited because I love your PowerPoints. They're always so pretty.
Let's see.
Yeah,
oh, that is pretty.
She does not disappoint. I love her.
Yeah, it's so easy though. When you use PowerPoint, you just let them design your slides. It's so easy.
Whatever. You can be humble. Just emotions.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about emotions and essential oils. And this is one of my bucket list things to do. I want to be standing in a field of lavender and just experience it. At some point in my life, it's going to happen. Whether it's in France or it's in the United States, it's going to happen for me. And then I will post it on the 50/50.
Oh, yay. Share it with everybody.
But how many of you have actually used essential oils? So all of you have? Okay, great. So this one is going to be just kind of an introductory to how I use essential oils to help with my emotions and self-discovery. Okay, that's almost like layers. So I'm going to teach you very basic things, and then we can do deeper dives. Okay, so I'm going to first start off with this. Is anybody familiar with what's called the Doctrine of Signatures? Okay, so look at my walnut and just keep that in your mind. Okay, as we discuss basics about the Doctrine of Signatures. Okay. So can somebody, since the pictures are on over my words, can somebody please read the first pinpoint?
I'll read the bullet for you. The Doctrine of Signatures. Yeah. The Doctrine of Signatures is a widely cited theory that purportedly explains how humans discovered the medicinal uses of some plants. According to the Doctrine of Signatures, physical characteristics of plants, including their shape, color, texture, and smell, reveal their therapeutic value.
Did you Did you ever think about that? Like, how did we come up with using plants medicinally? This is
a really interesting thought.
This is
someone who was good with observation, started to make connections, inspired connections, probably.
And think about it, experiments. They had to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So probably had some pretty disastrous ones, but also the good ones. Okay, they remembered the good ones. What about the next bullet point?
I can read it. The Swiss physician Paracelsus, 1493 to 1541, was a notable advocate of the doctrine of signature who wrote, "Nature marks each growth according to its curative benefit."
He kind of started it off because at that point they were doing more of like the Greek understanding of, and not saying that it's all bad, but he kind of started to turn more towards like the chemical reactions within the body from the plants, from nature. Like I said, this is very basic. So if you want to do a deeper dive, Google it, or even I have a book at the very end that is just amazing if you want to read the book. How about the next one?
The writings of Jacob Boehme spread the doctrine of signatures. He suggested that God marked objects with a sign or a signature for their purpose. Plants bearing parts that resembled human body parts, animals, or other objects were thought to have useful relevance. Those parts, relevance to those parts, animals or objects.
I thought I might have done a typo because I went back and had I was like, I was so tired when I did this.
It's Jacene's tired eyes this morning. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me.
So the walnut, that walnut looked like a brain.
Okay.
Like as I'm reading this, I immediately go, cool. That's a brain.
Yes. So think about that. Yeah, like a brain inside of a skull, right?
It really does.
And what do they tell us are in nuts that are good for our brain?
Oh,
the oils.
omega-3s, right?
Omega-3s.
Yes.
So good for our brains.
So I would be interested because I'm not really versed in herbs. I know Beth is. So maybe some of these, sometimes when you are thinking about this, things will come to you about herbs. So please share. But the doctrine of signatures is mostly for the physical part of us, but historically. But now in the more modern sense, we've been able to actually extrapolate a little bit more of like looking at the plants and how they can help us on the emotional side. And that's what I'm going to teach today. So I'm introducing you to the doctrine of signatures so you can kind of see how it is out in the world, and you can extrapolate on the physical, but also on the emotional and mental part. Okay.
Fine.
Because as we support the physical, we also support the mental, emotional, and vice versa. Okay.
And we can maybe report back in with each other as we discover plants that look like things they're made for.
Yes. Or just, yes. So it's also not just the plant, but also look at how it is in the environment. It's like how it grows, its life cycle even. And also there's a part of the doctrine of signatures that even looks at if a plant is showing a characteristic that may show up in the human body as a disease, like lungwort. I'm not familiar with this herb. Lungwort, they say, looks almost like it has like a disease that can show up in the lung. So in using that herb for a lung disease, so it's like there's other things to look at. Okay. Are you familiar with lungwort, Beth?
Well, a little, yeah. It's in some of the formulas that we use for respiratory support. It really does work that way. Okay. Okay, cool. See, I'm learning too on this stuff. I don't know a lot of this, but I know enough to probably be dangerous, right? That's the
why I refer you to a book after, but this is how, when I was introduced to the doctrine of signatures, it just blew my mind. It blew my mind, but I started to look at things different. So now that we kind of have a little understanding of how to look at things, what do you see when you look at a cross section of a carrot?
Isn't that interesting?
An iris.
Mm-hmm.
And what's in a carrot that they say is good for your eyesight?
Vitamin A.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tocopherols of vitamin A. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But also think about kids, the iris, but also think a carrot's also like a root, right?
Right.
What's connected to the brain to the eye? an optic nerve.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, this all these things can start to kind of flow in your mind, and you can be like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Now, the Doctrine of Signatures in the more modern times have been able to do things like a cross section like this, or even look at cell structure and things like that. So we actually have a little bit more of an in-depth look in the modern sense of using this than they did back in 1400s and the 1500s. But maybe they did. Maybe they cut a carrot open and went like, oh my gosh, you know, who knows? Who knows? But I think that we are very blessed with our advancement of technology and understanding, even in like how the chemicals work together, to actually have a greater understanding of our plants and what they can do for our bodies. And that connection that is nature with us. And also, I loved the very last part of the previous slides where he included God in it. God has marked and signed or given signatures for our purpose. I think this, my belief as I was thinking about this using stuff in nature to heal our body has been around for a long time, but it was kind of put into like the world of man when they called it the Doctrine of Signatures. I think it's always been around with like cultures that have just looked to the earth to heal them, and they've done it throughout time. So new to us, but not new to us. So what about this one? Tell me what do you see in this plant that could possibly be in our bodies?
Nervous system or vessels, maybe. It looks like a giant head of hair, honestly.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, oh, it's a bad hair day.
It's a bad hair day.
Yeah, it does. Like if you look really closely, there's a face underneath all of that.
Oh, really? Let's go with the first one. I mean, I'm sure it can help the hair, but let's go with the first one. I mean, you said it looks like a nervous system.
It does look like like a nervous system or a blood vessel system, but it looks like a definitely system of vessels or nerves.
Yes. Okay. This is vetiver, and it is great for the nervous system.
This is vetiver?
Yeah, and I'll show you another picture of vetiver that you're going to just blow your mind.
One of my very favorite oils. I love it. It really enters me.
And it comes from the roots. Yeah. But it also, I mean, what we're going to be discussing vetiver later on, but I'll just kind of interject here a little bit. Yes, when you smell vetiver, I almost feel like I have face planted the forest floor. I just love the smell of vetiver. And some people think it's disgusting, but I'm like, oh yes, I'm in the earth. I'm grounded. I'm rooted.
That's so interesting. When I smell vetiver, I smell English leather cologne.
Oh, wow. I wonder if
it's very vanilla, rich leather smell to me. But when I first used it, it was at the first oils class that I ever attended. And they were doing body scans with those, the hand scanner, you put your hand
Zyto scanners, yeah.
Yeah, the Zyto scanners. And I remember being just really having fun and really wacky. And we went to the Zyto scanner and said to the tech who was running the show, my daughter said, do you have something for a crazy mama? Because she's a nutcase. And I put my hand on the Zyto scanner and it scanned for vetiver. And so I bought a bottle of vetiver and took it home, but it smelled like dirty sweat socks. It was terrible. I literally would put it on my feet before I went to bed and stuck my feet under the covers as quick as I could. It was awful. But within a couple of months, I actually began to crave. It might have only even been a month. Crave the smell because it changed to something so sweet and so delicious to me that I just love it.
Okay, we're going to come back to that when we start learning.
Yeah, we'll come back to that thought, but still,
yes, but keep that in there because that is exactly okay. Keep that in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the next one. So, what can this teach us? What can a tree teach us, or trees?
I know.
You know. So tell me, because I always talk to you about this.
It's grounding. Those trees are so deeply and firmly grounded. And I love that they're so close together. Their roots are probably intertwined. Not only are they grounded, but they're connected.
And supporting each other. Yeah. Think about a tree too. Like because of the roots, it's able to grow tall and wide. but also within that, a tree's structure, a tree is also designed to, when the storms and the winds come, to just sway.
And
To bend and to sway.
So it just kind of goes with what comes.
It can weather life's storms, so to speak. It's built for that. Okay. And so a lot of times when we go to a tree for an emotional help, it's those things we need. We need rooted, we need grounded, we need stability, and we need to be able to navigate or go with whatever's happening in our life.
I think about trees that don't bend to the wind and they snap. And so when we aren't flexible in our life, we break. We
do.
break them.
And
we snap.
Yeah, we snap. We totally snap, don't we?
It's like, whoa.
And it's interesting. Look, if you've ever looked at those trees, I mean, some of them are just really nice and healthy trees. But some reason why those trees snap is because they're either alone and they're not being able to do it by themselves, or there's a disease, or there's an injury, or something that has weakened the tree, age, those type of things. All right. So let's move on. So what can this teach us? Once again, it's the tree.
Growth.
Patience. Incremental growth, right, Charlotte?
Yeah. So
layer upon layer upon layer, kind of like onion layers even.
Yeah. I look at this tree and I think this is the story of the tree's life.
Yeah.
You can count the rings and count how old this tree is. You can look at the rings that are like wide apart and that are close together, and you can understand what happened in that tree's year.
Don't you wonder about that one big ring that's all kind of cattywampus and sticking out the one side?
Yeah, over here. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah, we can see your cursor. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Right here. Yeah.
Okay, this is what happens when a tree goes through something very stressful and disastrous. It can be a fire. It can be a wound.
Wow.
They can tell what kind of issue happened to the tree with how these show up. And look at how the tree sent all this intention to heal it.
Well, and the outward energy, I think, and I wonder, is that the connection with the trees around it as well? That it was something catastrophic they all experienced in that outward energy.
Yeah. And it's all on the one side, It's so interesting what this can tell us about.
Maybe the direction the fire or whatever came from, or where the dance was in the forest.
Or whatever it was. It could have even just been a bad storm and maybe something fell on it, or who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Yes.
That is so interesting.
Isn't that interesting? The health of the tree, everything can be, gathered from this. Okay. Let's move on. What about these two pictures?
Other than they're gorgeous.
Oh, I know. Okay, so right there. What did that, other than they're gorgeous, what was the feeling behind that statement?
There was joy. They bring joy with their beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Uplifting, happiness. Mm-hmm. Now, in the Doctrine of Signatures, it tells us that flowers, well, and just other plants, but flowers can portray that through their coloring. Like, what does yellow elicit in you compared to pink?
Yellow is energy and hope and momentum and excitement. Yeah. It's a higher energy color.
Yes. Yeah. And then pink to me is kind of just like, oh, that's so nice. Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't make me roll my eyes. Sorry.
I know. And then the other thing that is the smell. Now, I know sunflowers have a smell, but it's not as enjoyable to me as a rose, the smell of a rose. And that can bring up also some other feelings and thoughts within us. So it's
the roses are really heady aroma, and it takes me in. It'll take me back with memories or with with strong emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the sunflower. It smells like the dirt.
And this is one part of a rose the rose oil that I didn't quite understand, because the rose oil is really expensive. And so I never really had it until actually doTERRA was able to give us a hydrosol rose oil. And now they're actually selling the rose oil itself, because it takes tons and tons of petals to get like 1 ounce or something. It's like just incredible. But if you take and feel a rose petal, what does it feel like? To me, it's like just velvet soft.
Yeah. Silk, velvet. Yeah. Just very, I love to put them on my face. And
well, do you know that rose oil is one of the best things for skin?
How about that?
How about that? And isn't
it interesting that that's where I wanted to go with it? You know, it's funny. I think that there's certain plants too, like I want to just kind of roll this in my hand. And then you learn about it and you're like, oh, that is for like your hands.
I have to tell a real funny story about a really good friend of mine who got me into oils. She would teach oils and everything. Her name is Christine Hales. She is a kick in the pants. I love her. And she's actually, has built a really large community in the oil business, because she loves people, and she loves oils, and she loves to help. But she is so cute. She talked about before she, like on her journey of trying to be more natural, she was sick, and she had been talking about certain plants and things like that with a friend of hers who was into oils and into stuff and into like herbs and everything. And she was talking about how she was sick. She had a little bit of cough, and she had some congestion in her head. And she just decided to go to her herbs. And she just felt, I just want to take sage leaves, and I just want to put them in my bath, and I just want to have a nice bath in my sage leaves. And she said when she was in the bath, she decided she was going to take those sage leaves and roll them up and put them up her nose. But she said it cleared her sinuses.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like there's things out there that can help us, and we kind of have an inkling. And I think nature calls to nature at times. And so that's like you, JC, I just wanted to rub the rose on my face, and like how you're talking about, I just wanted to feel and experience it and see how it can help in my life. Now, not every plant has an oil. It has an essence, but not every plant has an oil. So, you kind of have to explore that on your own, and also learn about it through books and things like that. But any comments, anything about experiencing plants, what they can do for you?
That we're connected if we're willing to let ourselves be connected. It's the gift of presence, right, JC? Mm-hmm. If we've got that gift of presence that we've cultivated, we've received, and that we continue to work with, then we can feel things. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that's probably where the Doctrine of Signatures got started. It was inspired by our creator to somebody who would listen.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I like that, how you said, that gift of presence, we all can have that. And that's going to be so important in your journey as we go on to talk more about emotions and essential oils.
Yeah. Connect
into that presence, why you're drawn to a certain one, and actually why you're repelled to a certain one. And I'm going to teach about that. Let's see, I forgot what slide is next. Let's look at, okay, here we go. So if you want a deeper dive about the Doctrine of Signatures, this book by Julia Graves is just amazing. It's intense. It's great. You don't have to do any other research. All of it's there. The history, the modern uses, everything. It's an amazing book. I'm going to be using the other book that's up here, Essential Emotions. And this is a book that can be found online. I think you can find it in Amazon, but you can find it. What did you say? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Amazon has it. That's where I got my copy.
Now, and every year they put out a new one. They update it with the new oils, and this is mostly done through the doTERRA company. But it has basics in there. Like this is what lavender is. This is what vetiver is. and how it can help us emotionally. But then it will have other blends too. But today I'm just going to stick with some basics in case you don't have doTERRA oils. If you use other oils, I'm just sticking with basics and their emotional signature. And also how they, almost like there's two layers, how we can use them if we have an issue or something we want to create. And then also the deeper dive, if we want to learn more about the information behind them that is speaking to us on a level of change, of internal discovery and change. And that's what this book is all about. Beth, can you take a moment and just explain how essential oils, the chemicals, can affect our moods and our emotions?
I worry if you caught me not paying attention.
Oh, shoot.
I was on Amazon trying to find that link so that I could put it in the chat for all of us, the language of plants. So let me
how our brain uses essential oils, basically.
Yes, I found it and I'll put it in the link. But first, would you please repeat the question and then I'd be happy to help.
Okay, I love you so much. It's how do essential oils, the chemical constituents, the aromatics, how do they affect our mood and our emotions? How does it work in the brain?
Yeah, a lot of people think that this is a woo-woo question because they think that essential oils are kind of woo-woo, but this is actually a science question as to how this works. And for this, I have to take my glasses off so that I can show you. Okay, so when you are working with an oil, in fact, I'll even grab a bottle of oil just to demo. We're going to use Awaken. Because, it's a Saturday morning. Everybody's Awaken. When we use an essential oil, or say I were in my garden and I squished up my lemon balm leaves or my peppermint leaves, and I put it here under my nose, and I breathe it in, and I can't help but smell because it's wonderful. What happens is the oils that have just come through here, or on my hand, or in that plant, through my nostrils, up about 1.5 inches to my right here, my olfactory bulb, which interestingly enough is right there by my amygdala, which is my stress center in my brain, right? My fight or flight plate that stands in ready to defend me and to let me know things are bad. But by taking that deep breath, it goes up my nose to the olfactory nerve and says, wow, that's wonderful. And for me, what this oil says is it's time to just relax. So it signals my amygdala that there are really good things happening here. This is a beautiful place to be. And where my amygdala might have normally, because we had tech issues before we started, been sending out this, oh my gosh, this isn't going to work right and people are going to be disappointed, this is going to be so hard. Now that part of my brain is sending out messages of, oh, this is good. We're just being taken care of. This is a great place to be. But that's because of the constituents in the plant or this essential oil that signal to my brain. That's just little baby particles I inhaled. They went that 1.5 inches and my brain said, oh, that's why we're happy today. Yeah, they're magical. And when I learned the science, I honestly thought they were really woo-woo. When I was an herbalist, I was just like, yeah, well, whatever, you go do your voodoo thing. But then when I started to connect, the plant names on my essential oil bottles were the same plant names that grew in my garden. And then when I learned about the brain chemistry, it just made all the difference. It's just science. It's just a real thing. Another kind of medicine. It's plant medicine.
Mm-hmm. And it's instantaneous.
Oh, it's 1.5 inches. You know how fast that air travels. You inhale. Yeah.
And so we can change a mood state. If we are stressed out, tense,
you can.
Sleepy, whatever, by using the oil and breathing it in, we can change the brain in that moment. And that's what's so amazing with these. And so we can look at the type of plant that it is and almost see what type of thing do I want to change in my brain. Okay. Like what she said, she knows that blend of Awaken for that purpose. Lavender calming, wild orange lights my brain up, but also calms me. Why? Isn't that amazing?
About lavender, since you brought lavender up, I just learned this from the National Institutes of Health. So you can go to the PubMed website in our government and find the studies that now say that they have learned that when women inhale lavender, levels of oxytocin in their blood rise.
Oh my gosh.
So there's another science-based study, especially coming out of the government, that makes it pretty credible. Oxytocin is the cuddle hormone, right? Makes us feel close to one another, helps us encourage loving feelings. So wearing lavender or inhaling lavender, it actually increases the level of that hormone in your blood. And you'll find lavenders in a lot of blends.
Yeah. Go back to that picture that I showed at the very beginning when I said, this is on my bucket list. That's exactly how I would feel if I was in that field. Yeah. I would just be just happy and just, oxytocin or whatever, oxytocin, is that how you say it? Yeah.
Oxytocin is a subtle hormone. It's the hormone that is released for newborn moms to help them, for new moms with their newborns to help them bond with their babies. It's the bonding cuddle hormone. It's really important for human connection.
You're going to see me hugging plants now.
Just know you can.
Okay, so funny story. We were in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago, and up in Maui, they have a lavender farm. And Mark was like, oh my gosh, rolling his eyes. And he's just like, but it was really not great weather. And so it's not like you could be on the beach. And I'm just like, oh, come on, let's just go. And it's up on Haleakala. And he's just like, oh, blah, blah. And he was a curmudgeon. And
he needed that oil.
I'll be that way.
He did. And so we got there, and when we started walking around, you could physically see him just like let go. And then we sat and we did, we were up there like 2 hours or something like that, but they had like areas where you could sit and you could look at things, and they had a coffee shop. So he got lavender coffee, but like he was so chill when we were all done. It was awesome. So this is all making sense to me. I'm like, oh,
yeah, that's awesome. So this book, Essential Emotions book, it's an amazing reference. It does have its way of using the oils. And so if you want to learn how they use them, it's a wonderful reference book, but I'm going to kind of teach you a little bit of how I use them intentionally. But before we get going, I want to read excerpts out of this book, and I'm in the next slide, so you can have an understanding a little bit more of how they gave these essential oils their focus or their personality, because it's almost like they each have like a job that they do, or a place that they focus in on, and you'll understand that a little bit more after we read this. So the descriptions from the essential emotions. The process for determining the focus of each oil includes gathering research on essential oils, IG, their botanical and medicinal properties, the plant family characteristics, the history, and the cultivation. So they kind of do the Doctrine of Signatures for that. They look at all that stuff. The characteristics of each oils are also manifested through personal and professional experience. So there's a lot of experience that went through these identifiers of these oils. And in the final analysis, the representation of each oil has also been guided and influenced by intuitive and energetic learning. And I would almost even put in there like that spiritual learning, the understanding of it. And can somebody read the last bullet point?
Each oil's emotional purpose is summarized in the subtitle, which honors the emotional characteristics most prevalent in the oil.
And some of them, when you read them, like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Some of you are like, I don't understand that, until we start to read more in depth about I call them the personalities. These oils like have like these little jobs, these little personalities that each of them do. And so, if you don't have the book, I would say get the book, because I'm going to be reading from the book. Okay. And the first one, we're going to explore together. So if you have this oil, it would be great if you pull it out, is wild orange.
Gotta go get it, but I'll be right back.
All righty.
1 minute.
Grab, grab lavender. Grab, if you have any type of fir, like I use Siberian fir. If you have vetiver, and frankincense and myrrh, if you have them, just grab all those.
I'm bringing my boxes. I couldn't get them all.
Will citrus blend work instead of just the straight orange?
It can, but you're going to be learning what the citrus is. It the citrus bliss?
Citrus bliss, yeah.
The reason citrus bliss, it has vanilla in it, so it'll give it a sweetness. So do you have like a lemon or a lime?
I do. I have lemon.
Okay, they're going to have different characteristics, but it'll give you that orange, the citrus. You can understand a little bit more about the citrus, but
and can I use balance instead of, because it's got the
I would use it, but you're going to see how each one of these just has its own personality and characteristic. Okay.
So because this is a blend, but it's got the fir stuff in it.
Well, so you can understand. So yes, it has the fir, so you can understand why that is put in there through the fir exploration we're going to do.
Got it.
I would say, Jason, if you are interested in this, definitely invest in the book. It'll give you it'll open your mind to understandings about self like you would not believe. Okay,
it's so helpful. Yeah, I put the link for the 11th edition in the chat, but there is a 13th edition out there.
Wow.
So they just didn't have it on Amazon. The earliest they had was 11th. So maybe Jenn can give you a publisher. You can find but at least started.
And it's interesting. I've got so many of these. I'm actually using the 10th edition. I'm like, oh, well, okay. I mean, they don't change. Like they will not change what they've written about wild orange. The new editions just have their newer oils that they are introducing into the world through the doTERRA world. This book is it's not a doTERRA book, but they have a partnership with them. So wild orange. Who doesn't want more abundance in their life? Okay. Yeah. But look at that picture. I have never in my life seen an orange tree in person, but from what I understand, they just droop with oranges when they're healthy. It's like they are just in abundance. And so I loved this picture for that reason. It just shows that it's never ending. Okay. Now in the book, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to give you the name and right underneath it, the personality. I like to call it its personality trait. And then it's going to give you more information about it. It's going to give you suggested uses. And it's also going to give you the oils that you can use with it. It's going to give you a negative and a positive, like emotions that can go with it. So like if you're feeling something that you want to increase, you can go to that feeling in the back of the book and it'll give you a list of oils. If it's a feeling that you want to get rid of or decrease, the same thing. Okay. But you're going to start to kind of learn your oils and just gravitate to which ones you want to either fix something in your life or increase something more in your life.
Are you going to tell us about wild orange? Because I have highlighted in mine.
Wild orange?
Yeah, in wild orange. I have a couple things highlighted that were really important to me.
In fact, for just these few that we're going to actually read that page. And so Beth, would you read the first paragraph?
That first one, yes. Wild orange addresses a wide variety of emotional issues. It inspires abundance, fosters creativity, and supports a positive mood. Wild orange also reconnects individuals with their inner child and brings spontaneity, fun, joy, and playfulness into one's life.
And who doesn't want more of that?
Oh, yeah. That's what I have highlighted. I have natural creative sense, limitless solutions, and live from your true self. Those were the things that were really important to me.
Is that brought out in the next few?
paragraph.
Why don't you just read the next ones for us so they can understand it?
At its core, Wild Orange teaches the true meaning of abundance. It encourages individuals to let go of scarcity mindsets and all their manifestations, including fear, nervousness, inflexibility, workaholism, lack of humor, and belief that there is not enough. Wild Orange reminds the soul of the limitless supply found in nature. It's like the mandarins on that tree, man, so heavy. Fruit trees like the orange tree give freely to all in need. This book will teach individuals to give without thought of compensation. Nature is always enough to go around. Wild Orange encourages individuals to let go of their need to hoard, which is the epitome of scarcity. Do you want to hear the next one?
Yeah, we want to hear the whole thing.
Okay. Wild Orange also assists in an individual's natural creative sense. It inspires limitless solutions for problems and issues. One never needs to live in fear. Wild Orange invites individuals to completely let go as a child does and to live from their true self. At the person's core, they are abundance. Sharing, playing, relaxing, and enjoying the bounties of life. These are the gifts bestowed by Wild Orange oil. It's interesting that we use oil when we use wild orange oil for people when we're finishing an aroma freedom session. If they don't have a specific oil that we usually use, that's the first thing we'll do is we'll have them use either the citrus fresh, but it's because of the orange.
Why do you think? With what we just read?
It seals it. It like seals all the goodness that they just got, into their belief of limitlessness and potential. I mean, it's a great oil.
I love it. It also, when I smell it, I have my brain, seriously, my brain just kind of gets a little excited, but yet I calm. My nervous system calms. It's like uplifting, but yet calming, which is such a weird thing to say about an oil. It's uplifting, but calming. And what I love about what it's teaching us with abundance is that we need to address many different areas of that scarcity mindset to open up. Because when people nowadays talk about abundance, it's mostly just with money. But no, this is abundance of everything, abundance of positive thought, abundance of relationships, abundance of opportunity. So it kind of shifts yourself into looking for possibility and the blessings and abundance, which are already there for you. And that's what I love about this. Now, an interesting side of this, and I wouldn't have believed if I hadn't seen it, but my sister's little boy growing up, this was his oil. He would come home from school and just be a mess, unregulated, just like that, and just not being able to be his true little sweet inner boy self. And he's like, Mom, I need my oil. And it was always wild orange. And he'd put it on his feet and he'd smell it. And he would just calm and be happy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, an abundance of who he really was came out instead of what he was reacting, going through his little school and reacting to. So I to me, wild orange is just amazing for so many reasons. And that next slide that I have is just telling you those things that were highlighted: abundant, sense of humor, playful, generous, spontaneous, creative, and joyful. These are the gifts that this oil can bring to us and bring out in us. Now, the deeper dive is this. Okay, so this is how, when I teach from this book, I teach from it with people in my home. And I have all my oils out and I ask them to pick 5 oils. They have a journal, they have this book, 5 oils. They pick 3 that they just absolutely love the smell of. And it's easy. 3 that they absolutely love the smell of. 2 they just stink and do not like. Okay. Sometimes they don't want 2, they'll just do 1. I'm like, fine, pick 4 you really like, 1 that really just repels you. Okay. Because nobody wants to have 2 stinkies. There's 1 stinky. And what's interesting about that is those that you are drawn to, that you love to smell, support the emotions, support these personalities, support these characteristics that you already are in your life and showing up in. And that one that repels you is your area of work. And Beth perfectly illustrated this in the beginning when she talked about vetiver, that it stunk to her and she hated it. But after a while, after using it, now she just loved the smell of it because of the change that was happening within her mind, body, everything emotionally about that oil. And if she had the book then and read about vetiver, she may have had a little bit deeper understanding of what was happening at that moment and what she needed to understand about herself and do the deep dive on. Now, the important thing in doing this is even with the ones that you love, the 4 you love and the 1 you hate, is you read about them, the personality. You read about them and you find examples in your life and in your thinking about how this shows up in your life. And you journal it out. You understand yourself further through that experience with that oil. And you do that with the ones that you love first, because you want to build yourself up. Because when that stinky one comes and you start to explore that stinky one, you learn some hard truths about yourself. But they're just information and opportunity to use that oil intentionally and grow and change. And how that works and how that looks is obviously journaling it out, understanding yourself more, using it daily. And if you don't like the smell like Beth does on the bottom of the feet, put your socks on and go, and you can even dilute it with some some coconut oil if it is too strong. But everyday usage to help shift and change, because I believe that these oils, we're trying to pull out almost like a big weed out of our life, like a negative thing, an issue out of our life. And these oils just loosen up the soil around it and actually help it so that we can then move on and change. And an important part of this is I always start it with an intentional prayer, because I'm wanting to overcome this or better myself with this. And so I'm using an oil and I'm inviting my creator to help me as I do this, to be intentional about this. And then I just let it happen. And it's interesting, as you are aware of this is what's happening and you're trying to shift and change in your life, you're going to start to be more aware of things and things are going to happen. And I definitely keep the page of the oil open and reference it every time before I go to sleep at night or during the day. So I'll sometimes take a screenshot of it because I'm like, oh, that just happened. What does it say in this about, what I'm experiencing right now? Or when I come up with something that I'm having a conflict with and I just don't want to change on it, or there's a disruption in my life, and I think, oh, how is this showing up with the oil that I'm using? And I just have further understanding. That's the deeper dive. So kind of like the surface use of the oil was like how my nephew used the oil to change his immediate experience in the world with the wild orange. If you are having an issue with scarcity and lack and you want to change and shift into this mindset of more possibility, then that's the deeper dive with wild orange. And you would read this and you would pray about it. You would journal it out. You would just walk it out in your life, but you would use it all the time. Just keep it there for you.
I love that. Can I ask a question?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Looking at the book,
yeah.
Underneath those paragraphs that we have,
Mm-hmm.
It has a list of companion oils.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate a little bit about what a companion oil would be?
A companion oil supports what that oil is trying to teach you or do in your life. And so, yes, you would look at those and say, okay, so let's look at tangerine. If I'm trying to do abundance with wild orange, what does tangerine say? And how would that support me? Because maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. And I would use that insight, that presence, that intuitive stuff to see, is it something that does? And I'm trying to.
I'm looking for tangerine for you real quick.
Spontaneity. Is that more that I need in my life right now? Does it go with what I'm trying to do with my wild orange? Or I know that it said lemon, and I know that lemon is it's an amazing brain oil. If you want to be alert, use lemon, but it's also a cleaner. It has an amazing properties to clean. So maybe there's something that needs to be cleaned out of you. It's a focus oil, it says. Focus. Engages the mind and aids in concentration. So maybe you need a little bit more of that with what you're trying to move on. That's just how I do it. I look at those companion oils and just say, does this fit what I'm trying to shift and change on?
Beautiful. Thank you for that.
And then also helps you, gives you some areas where you can use them on your body, like where. I just use a lot just on my feet, and the not pressure points, but like the circulatory points. And if I'm really doing something that's hard, I put it over my heart. If I really feel like this is just going to be so hard for me, I'll put it over my heart.
I know on the companion oils idea that when we study in herbalism, there are plants that will turbocharge other plants. And so it's deliberate mixing to increase the effects. Mm-hmm. So I'll bet you it's the same way with the companion oils, that you're led to work together, that they complement and actually enhance each other.
Enhance and support. Absolutely. Yeah. Better of a team. Yeah. But I like to, if I'm doing that deeper dive, I like to strictly just kind of focus on the one oil, because sometimes too much information for me, I get overwhelmed. And so
accomplish anything without focus. Yeah.
And I'll share later on the one that I'm using right now that I have to stick with just it because it's overwhelming for me right now. So yeah. And I'm getting a lot of those moments where I'm like this and I'm like, okay, this oil helped me, help me shift and change on this one. Okay, let's explore another one. So,
excuse me. Can I just ask you a question real quick? I'm sorry.
No worries.
So I was just wondering. I have the oil orange, but it doesn't say wild orange. Does it matter if it's just orange, or does it have to be wild orange?
I would say orange is good. Orange is good. This is. I'm using the doTERRA oils, and I'm using with the descriptions in the book. And I know they can be a little bit like, oh, you have to use this, but I think with you're trying to do this emotionally, the orange and the intention is good. So go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me tell you one thing about a certain orange tree, a little bit more that goes into this abundance. The bitter orange tree, we get 3 major oils out of it. We get the bitter orange from the rind. We get the neroli from the blossom. And I want to call it's petitgrain. We get petitgrain from the leaves and the small little twigs. Talk about an abundance from a tree. So, it's like there's a lot that we can look at the signatures of the tree. What is it doing? What is it giving us? And we can extrapolate a lot of things from that. Okay, here's
Vetiver.
Here's yours. And what is
my favorite?
So I'm going to turn to Vetiver in your book.
Can't find it.
Interesting. Centering, of course, centering. But what about descent? What do you think that means?
Rooting. It's all those roots.
It's all those roots. Okay, let's and learn. And another thing, think about also the root system. If you take a cross section of a root, you take a cross section of a nerve, you take a cross section of a vein, they all seem to have similar characteristics, right? So Vetiver is amazing for the nervous system. If you want to get right in out of fight or flight, you want to get right into grounding, Vetiver, bottom of the feet, I put on the base of your spine or back here, wherever you want. Yeah. And a really good companion oil for Vetiver, if you want to really relax and calm, is lavender. I don't know if it's on here.
It's not, but I'm going to put it in my book.
But at one point in my life, when I was having sleep issues, I would put Vetiver and lavender in my hand together and rub it on the bottom of my feet and put it on the back of my neck. And it really helped me relax for sleep.
There are a lot of really important points in your hands in general, too. You your hands and just rub it together on your hand. Yeah.
Just let you know, I'm not really paying attention to the chat because I'm trying to do the presentation. So Beth or anybody, if you read the chat and there's a question that I'm missing, let me know. Okay.
Can I just address who asked where can I get sage leaves? Carolyn, it's the perfect time of year to go to your local nursery and buy a couple sage plants for your yards. It will give you way more sage leaves than you ever need. And they grow well here in Texas.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Beth.
Yeah. But that's it so far. We're
So
just thinking about Harry Vetiver, you know.
This is
funny
Vetiver.
because my story, I was the crazy mama, and this is about being centered and grounded, which I love. Yeah.
This is a man. This is a man. This is how they grow like 8 feet deep sometimes. And look how thick and intertwined and bunchy they are. Talk about this.
Must get at least that tall before they cut off. They're cut off at the top too, huh?
From what I understand, I think the growth cycle is 9 months before they will harvest the plant.
Wow.
Yeah. But isn't that just amazing? So, but let's read about vetiver and why maybe it was the crazy mom oil for Beth.
It is crazy mom oil. Yep. I read it just while you were teaching the last one a little bit and went, oh, well, that makes sense.
Do you mind reading again for us?
No, I don't mind reading again. If you guys don't mind listening to my voice again. Vetiver oil assists in becoming more rooted in life. There's all your roots right there. Mm-hmm. Life can scatter one's energy and make individuals feel split between different priorities, people, and activities. Vetiver brings the individual back down to earth. It assists them in grounding to the physical world. Vetiver also assists individuals in deeply connecting with what they think and feel. In this way, Vetiver is incredibly supportive in all kinds of self-awareness work. You can see why that would be so great as a companion oil, right? Mm-hmm. It helps uncover the root of an emotional issue. Vetiver challenges the need to escape pain. So to stay and experience and not resist.
Root in.
Root in, right. It centers individuals in their true self, their centered self with their inner knowing, and guides them downward to the root of their emotional issue. Probably really helps with releasing, y'all. Mm-hmm. It helps them find relief, but not through avoidance. Relief comes after they've traveled within and met the core of their emotional issue. I imagine it's great with imagery as well, mm-hmm. with that travel within. Vetiver will not let them quit. It grounds them in the present moment and carries them through an emotional catharsis. The descent into the true self assists individuals in discovering deeper facets of their being. Vetiver opens the doors to light and recovery through this downward journey.
So these are the positive things that Vetiver will do for you. Center, grounded, present, emotionally aware, and connected. So if you're thinking that you're having an issue with the opposite thing, like I don't feel grounded, I feel like I'm all over the place, flighty, I'm not centered, I don't feel like I'm living in the present, or I'm not even aware of my emotions and connected, Vetiver will help bring this gift to you, help you. And so the deeper dive then would be going into and actually understanding, why is my body wanting Vetiver? And I love Beth's story because it became sweet to her and she loved it after because it supported her and gave her what she needed. But Beth, did you have to go through kind of like a little bit of a battle or a struggle with it in the beginning?
I was in the middle of a real battle at the time. Yeah, we were having a lot of shifts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but what I love is, you guys know, as I've worked to build CMH coaching, it will not let you quit. Because I still use it almost every night. You know, I'll still put it on my feet. It keeps you centered and present and all of these things. Little did we know. And that was 10 years ago. Yeah.
I love what these gifts. I love what they give to us.
I love that my creator is so present in my life is to orchestrate 10 years before we come to class. I just think that's the coolest.
Has anybody else had an experience with Vetiver, or is this new to you about this oil? It's new. Yeah. It seriously.
Yeah, I've never heard of it before.
It is amazing. But
I can't wait to see what it smells like to you, Christine.
Yeah.
Actually,
I know, right?
I do have it. When I first smelled, I was like Beth, like it smelled like the acupuncturist, the herbs that they had. It was horrifying to me. And I couldn't use it. I couldn't stand it. And I got it. It was a freebie. Like I didn't specifically order it. It just kind of came as a complimentary thing. And it was really thick too. It's kind of sticky.
Yeah, it's very thick.
But now I don't mind the smell. It seems, so I'm here smelling vetiver and orange, and I'm feeling calm and
good. So chill.
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of for different reasons. See, mine is like kind of crystallized. because it's so it's kind of syrupy. Well, it's not crystallized, but it's like kind of like, so I can't open. There we go. I got it open.
Yeah. It's almost like a resin.
It's almost resin, but it's not, but it's thick like one.
Yeah.
And it takes forever to come out. And so kind of in my oil circle, when we first were getting into this one, we called it the armpit oil.
Oh.
Because some of them, it smells horrible. But I was like, well, because if I put it underneath my arm and warm it up, it actually flows faster out of, the thing. So that's kind of like why they call it
that. That's a great step. Yeah.
Or put it, between your legs or something, but just warming it up will help it kind of flow faster. Yeah. Sit on.
It's funny.
That'll help. Yeah.
It's funny, the description, like on doTERRA, I'm looking at it, and the description sounds wonderful to me. It says sweet, woody, caramel, smoky. I'm like, oh yeah, I love all of those smells. So
like to me, the wood and the smoky and the caramel. That the caramel is what I love in it.
That's why I said it smelled like I face plant the forest floor. I was like, oh, I love this one, because and actually, I love my other tree oil that I love to put with vetiver. So vetiver is the root. The tree oil I love to put with it is copaiba.
Oh,
copaiba, however they say it.
Copaiba is how I say it, but I don't know the right way.
I don't know either. And copaiba, and because to me it smells like a forest, like a campfire. So I put those two.
What are the properties that draw you to the copaiba?
Probably because it's a tree and it's just really like rooted, but I love the smell of a campfire. And to me, it smells like a campfire. But if you want to really quick, let's see what it says that one is.
We'll see.
If it's in this one, if it's in this book, it might not be in this book. I have to get a newer one. Oh no, here's. I forgot why I love this one. It's the unveiling oil. So if you really want to know stuff about yourself, use copaiba.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Did somebody have something to say?
I have some. I don't know if there's. I have some with me. It kind of smells like wood to me, like fresh wood, like when you cut wood. That's what it smells like to me. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No. And that's just the thing. Maybe what we're drawing from it is something that is because it's a smell. It might be a memory. Who knows? But it's also how we associate certain things in our life. Cut wood, forest, campfire. I don't know why,
Well, when you look at the explanation, it makes sense for everybody here at this meeting because it is there to unveil the deeper meaning and messages showing up in your life. And isn't that something we all have in common? We want to have that happen.
Yeah. And we're seekers for that. Yeah.
And we are seekers.
Yeah. The unveiling. So copaiba is an amazing one too. I wonder, is it, let's see.
This is good information because I have all of these oils and they just sit in my thing because I don't know what to do with these.
Don't know what to do with them? I would encourage you, Charlotte, to get this book.
Well, so I went in my library and I was like, I have this one that's version.
That's one of the very first ones.
It's version 2. So I'm like, oh, it definitely doesn't have the new one in it.
And in fact, they've actually added some things to it on how to use the oils in the newer books. I don't know if that older one has it. Like if you're wanting,
it is literally just like frankincense. Inhale, aroma, smell, topical, bath, mist, or massage. So it has like how to use frankincense. Or so it does have the ones that it has. It tells you how to use them, but it doesn't have the new oils.
So in this one I have, and I want to say the newer ones. In the back, like if I looked up like you said frankincense, it comes under spiritual. Like if I was looking for something to increase on, and what it tells you the oils to use for that. It will then tell you what is allowing darkness to enter. Some questions to ask yourself. What is allowing darkness to enter my life, such as negative thought patterns or practices? What do I need to change in my life to be more aligned with my higher power? And then it'll give you like an affirmation or an intention. I now cast off all negative or lower vibrational energies and fill myself with light and truth. And then it will give you an imagery that says, imagine a dark mist or cloud around you being dispelled by light and faith. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a practice in this book.
Oh, cool.
This is one way to use, that in this book. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot more advanced than my book.
Right, so I would encourage you to get one because it's a tool. Okay. It's another tool to help us as we, learn more about ourselves and what we want to. Because I believe those who come to this, they want to change. They want to better themselves. They want to become the best version of themselves. And these are just tools to use for that.
Okay.
Or if they're in a state that is like, I am in a rocky place, I don't know what to do, this will help us. So that's Vetiver, but I just love that picture of all that. Okay. So let's talk about this one. Lavender.
I have the best layering of oils on my hands, let me tell you. Orange and vetiver and lavender.
Lavender.
Good combo.
No, lavender's in my book. Come on, I didn't have a tab in it. So here we go.
Well, and remember oxytocin. It's the connection and cuddles.
So its personality trait, its focus is communication and calm. So how and why? Beth, are you tired of reading, or would you like me to read, or do you want to read?
I'd read forever.
Okay, so why don't you read to us from the book? Just go ahead and read all of those.
Okay. I have to kind of fold back because see the ones that you've sent me. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got them taped in. So laurel leaf is over my lavender now. Lavender aids verbal expression. You want to be able to talk more clearly with your spouse? Lavender aids verbal expression and calming the mind. Specifically, it calms the insecurities that are felt when one risks their true thoughts and their feelings. Lavender addresses a deep fear of being seen and heard. Individuals in need of lavender hide within, blocking their true self-expression. While they may be going through the motions of outward expression, they're actually holding back their innermost thoughts and feelings. The expression is not connected to the heart or soul. You guys, this is so important to note with the science that we just learned about oxytocin. These things you've got at least 2, maybe 3 testimonies of why this particular oil really does work for the human body. Lavender supports individuals in releasing the tension and constriction that stems from withheld expression. This bottleneck in communication can result in worried and racing thoughts, anxiousness, and sleep disruption. Due to past experiences, they may feel unsafe or fearful of expressing themselves because of potential rejection. Often they don't allow themselves space to get in touch with all they truly think and feel. Their true voice is therefore trapped within and goes unexpressed. Strong feelings of being unlovable, unimportant, or unheard can accompany this condition. Anybody who's experienced PMS, can you see why lavender works so well for PMS? Lavender encourages emotional honesty and insists that one speak their innermost thoughts and desires. As individuals learn to communicate their deepest thoughts and feelings, they are liberated from self-inflicted prison. It is through open and honest communication that an individual has the potential to experience unconditional love, acceptance, and peace of mind. Through lavender's courageous spirit, one is free to share their true self with others. You know, when we're going to have a difficult conversation, you could call this a difficult conversation oil. You could diffuse it in the room where you're going to be visiting with, or have that experience with a child or with a coworker or wherever. And it would help you both to connect and bond. You wouldn't necessarily have to wear it. You could just diffuse it. The studies they did were with women who just breathed diffused oil. They were just diffusing it. And they had the same response.
I like that idea what you say about this could be your difficult conversation oil for the reason.
I love it as a difficult conversation oil.
But also think about it in the above part of it. It talked about how this helps you to feel safe. So when we're having difficult conversations, neither of you feel safe.
Right.
And so it kind of helps bring that. And then you can kind of communicate and being open. Yeah. I love that. The difficult conversation oil with yourself and with others, right?
Yeah. Your difficult conversation oil.
Yeah. I do want to bring out here that Those of you who have like that intuitive side of yourself where you just feel drawn to something, or whether you have the skill of like muscle testing. And I'll even do this with a sway test. Like I stand in front of my oils and I ask what is needed. And yeah. I sometimes am just drawn to one, or I will muscle test. And sometimes it's the craziest thing. Like the other day I was like, why do I need black spruce? But oh, well, I do for some reason, you know, and it may be just for that moment, or maybe like I need to use this for a week. So you can ask these things if you feel like you can trust your testing or trust your intuition for it. I say just go with it.
The more you're willing to trust, the more you'll receive.
Yeah, just go with it. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to hurt. But that's how I kind of, when I do my deep dives, it's through the testing, through my muscle testing. I'm like, you know, there's this going on. What oil do I need to understand this? And then I'll open this up and I'll read, oh, maybe this is why, you know, and it'll help me shift on it. It's pretty fascinating. So let's talk about this one. Siberian Fir. Now, I love trees. I mean, that's one thing you probably know about me. I love trees. I love all kinds of trees, what they can teach us and everything. But out of the conifers, Siberian fir, or even just the fir, let's look at the fir family. They are an amazing tree for their characteristics that are different from like your pines, your spruces, and they all have their like amazing stuff. The cypresses, I mean, the junipers, the cedars, they have all their amazing stuff too. But out of the conifers, this is what draws me to firs, okay? And kind of see what is the signature of doctrine be with the firs. They're long-lived for conifers, okay? By about age 20, they're considered mature, okay? And they're average. So there's different types within the fir family, but their average is about 60 to 70 years. Okay, then they start to die off. So I'm kind of like, you know, that kind of sounds like a human lifespan right there, kind of. But there are some that are called noble firs, and they can live to be 600 to 700 years old. So there is a type of fir that will live hundreds of years. Okay. They grow, they are tall. Certain firs grow super, super tall. They can grow up to anywhere from 32 feet to 260 feet. Now, 260 feet, I put this in, like how many building stories is it? 260 feet? 24. That's like a 24-story building. That's huge. That's huge. I'm like, oh my gosh, they can grow that big. They grow in like a triangle shape, conical shape. The majority of Christmas trees, your happy tree is a fir. I mean, they can be other ones, but traditionally it's a fir. The one thing that I love, and I would love your input on this, what you think this may mean, but fir trees are the only conifers that the pine cones grow up. They don't hang over and droop. They grow up. I see Jacine shaking her head.
Tell us, what do you mean, Jacine? Tell us.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I've got all kinds of fir trees in my yard, and the pine cones grow up instead of down, which is really, really interesting. And I've got others that grow underneath the tree and they face down. But yeah. I've never
even. They're aspiring higher?
Like what? I'll have to take a picture. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really fascinating.
It's like they're the candles that are sitting on the branches of the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And what is a pine cone? It is the future of that tree. It is generations to come. Yes. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting. And it's being lifted upwards. I mean, not to saying that it's wrong because the other ones droop, but it's interesting. So I just have to think about.
Yeah, because think about when fruit grows on the tree, like an apple, right? It's underneath and it's hanging down. Yeah. So it is fascinating when you see something just on top going.
So you're like, what does that mean going upward? Yeah. So just whatever that means for you. Yeah. So let's look at, I picked out of the furs for us to, because there's white fur, there's Douglas fir, there's all different kinds of furs. I picked the Siberian fir. And because the furs have a pretty much a, they tend to be more about ancestor, about generations, about that type of thing. So let's see what Siberian fir has to say about that.
I love that in the middle of all of that is forgiveness for Siberian fir.
Oh, see, you've already read it all?
Well, I was highlighting it because I'm like, oh, yep, need this one too.
And see, I thought this was very appropriate for, because there's like general age that is attending.
But then there's wise modern women age.
Exactly. Wise modern. Yeah. So
as wise modern women,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
This really fits.
Okay. So you're so excited about it, Beth. Will you be my reader again?
Sure. I think it's really interesting that they have it be aging and perspective. That's
doesn't that come with aging?
Yeah. I'm kind of new to this aging thing. And so it's all fascinating to me. Okay, so Siberian fir addresses generational healing from the perspective of the mature. So you're thinking someone who's maybe looking back at events with their parents or their grandparents or things that they might need to clear. It assists during the twilight years, wise modern women, as individuals transition into a more full, mature awareness. This period in one's life cycle can be beset with losses of many kinds. Siberian fir offers comfort and support during periods of grief, regret, and longing.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Yes,
right here? Because grief is not only just like the bereavement part of losing someone to death. It could be losing ability. It could be losing home. It could be losing finances. It could just be losing your children as they leave the nest. You know, there's a loss, and we have to grieve through losses. Even as we get older, the loss of our young skin, the loss of our color of our hair, or the loss of an ability because, we're now getting a little bit older and creaky. Our body is changing. So there's all different types of grief and loss that I think this will apply for, but go ahead.
Retirement.
Yeah.
Retirement was the one that I was thinking of. My business mentor told me that men who are forced to retire, who, they're just, you can quit or you can be fired, but they're forced into retirement, live an average of 17 months after they retire. Yeah, because it was their whole life and it was just taken. So imagine what Siberian fir could help, even if they wouldn't wear it, diffuse it. To help with that transition and that grief.
But you know what? Men love that pine tree smell. So this is something that I could see men wearing. Yeah,
it's right there. Okay, I totally don't know where we left off. So
the last section, it aids in the necessary healing.
Oh, grief, regret, and longing. Okay. Siberian fir encourages an honest and gentle approach to assessing one's life choices, influence, and legacy. Upon reflection, all people will find moments of regret and moments they cherish. Siberian fir teaches that without the winds of opposition, individuals would never have gained the wisdom and strength they now possess. It also reminds us that forgiveness, both needing to forgive and needing to be forgiven, is integral to development. Siberian fir helps ease difficult transitions by encouraging individuals to focus on finding meaning and purpose in their new chapter. As they progress through life, individuals may need to realign their hopes and aspirations to the realities of the present moment, like when your knees creak. Siberian fir offers its steady energy through periods of change and adjustment, reminding individuals to look for the good and remember that they are inherently valuable and needed. The best gift that can be given to the next generation is sharing a heart at peace. That's a powerful oil, and that's a lot of promises right there.
This is Siberian fir. The firs are amazing. And it kind of, that last part, the best gift that can be given to the next generation is sharing a heart of peace. And I just think of those pine cones reaching the sky. It's like an offering even.
Its companion oil is petitgrain.
Oh, awesome.
Imagine the peace that would come with the two of those. Yeah. Think to the sky. Yeah.
Yep. So Siberian fir. I know we're getting close to time here. Okay, we have about a half an hour. So I did put some in here that we can kind of just play with, because there's some that we won't read from the book unless you want to. But these are kind of some ones that I think are important for us to have. And that's frankincense. Frankincense is the oil of truth. And it's, to me, if you read in the book, it talks about how if you have any type of father wound, anything that is abandonment or anything issue that you may have with a father, this helps to heal that. And so frankincense is considered the healer of the father wound. Do you guys want me to read about frankincense from the book?
Yes.
Okay, let's read frankincense. Because I didn't make a little thing out of it because I thought we wouldn't have time. So
I love the first line is, it reveals deception and false truth.
Okay, you've got it open. You read, Beth.
The revealer. Yeah. It invites individuals to let go of their lower vibrations, lies, deceptions, and negativity. It sounds like a liberating oil to me. Mm-hmm. This oil helps create new perspectives based on light and truth. Frankincense recalls to memory spiritual understanding, gifts, wisdom, and knowledge into that soul brought into the world. Is it any wonder it was given to the Savior?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Also, on that point, it was because it was used. They burnt it as incense, but they also used it, I think, medicinally. It was actually, I think, more expensive than gold.
Wow.
It had a value to it, a monetary value to it. So think of the three gifts: frankincense, myrrh, gold. Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah. In ancient times, these were like just needed and valued. So go ahead. Sorry, Beth, continue.
It's a powerful cleanser of spiritual darkness. Frankincense assists in pulling the scales of darkness from the eyes, the barriers from the mind, and the walls from the heart. Through connecting the soul with its inner light, this oil reveals the truth. Frankincense supports in creating a healthy attachment with one's father. There's your father wound. Mm-hmm. It assists in spiritual awakening, but it's such a spiritual thing, right? A healthy attachment with your divine father as well. I love that. Mm-hmm. One has felt abandoned or forgotten. Frankincense reminds them they are loved and protected. While this oil is incredibly powerful, it is also gentle, like a loving father who nurtures, guides, and protects. Frankincense shields the body and soul from negative influences and assists the soul in its spiritual evolution. Enhancing practices of prayer and meditation, this oil opens spiritual channels that allow an individual to connect to God. Through the light and power of frankincense, the individual can draw closer to divinity, healthy masculinity, and the grandeur of the true self.
Yeah. This one is a powerful oil, and this
it's also incredibly oxygenating, so it's super great for the brain to put right here at the base of the skull to clear your head, or here at the top to clear your head if you've had a hard time thinking, you're too tired. Frankincense is a great clearing.
I also know in using it in the physical aspect, it has such a broad opportunity of stuff to offer you on the physical healing side. And so there's this saying in the oil world, when in doubt, frank it out, so it's like, if you're just in doubt, put frankincense on it, nothing. And same with emotions. If all you have is frankincense, just frank it out. But this was a powerful healer for me in with getting over my past and bringing truth to my past and why I was in a family I was in and my father wound. And it actually helped me to connect more to my Heavenly Father. So this is a very special oil for me. I love this oil. And in the next little section, we'll talk more about the actual look of the resin. But the next oil is myrrh. Now, this is the Mother Earth oil, but this one will do the same thing with a mother wound, that the frankincense does with the father wound. So these are our parent oils. These are our divine parenting oils. And if you're doing inner work, that you're trying to reparent those broken parts of you, the inner child and everything, these two oils are powerful in that work. Because when we do our inner work, we are going back and we're being that mother figure, that parent figure, that authoritative figure, correcting within us how that should look and feel. And so these two oils are just fantastic for that. And so let's just read a little bit about myrrh.
What do you think of the smell of myrrh, Jenn? What's it smell like to you?
I love it. And I have mine here. Let me open it up. I had to get a new bottle because mine crystallized.
Yeah, it's another one that's resinous like that.
I just love it. To me, it reminds me a little bit of the vetiver type stuff. I just love it.
It smells like Band-Aids to me.
Mayonnaise?
Band-Aids.
Oh, Band-Aids.
Like a first aid kit, like antiseptic in a way.
Oh, I don't know why. I can see where you get that. But I don't know. To me, it's
a Mother Earth. I love that it goes with mother wounds. It even sounds a little like myrrh,
so,
you know?
I'll read it real quick. Mother oil nurtures the soul's relationship with its maternal mother and with the earth. This oil supports individuals who have had disturbances with the mother-child bond, whether it's a division between the child and the biological mother or Mother Earth herself. Myrrh can help bridge the gap and heal the disturbance. This division or lack of attachment may be reflected or may be related to adoption, birth trauma, malnourishment, experiences of abandonment, or other childhood issues. Myrrh helps the soul to feel the love and nurturing presence of a mother. Similar to the nutrient-rich colostrum found in a mother's milk, myrrh oil inoculates individuals from the emotionally adverse and harmful effects of the world. Like the warmth of a mother's love for her child, myrrh assists individuals in feeling safe and secure. Oh, I just love it. I love the smell. But it does have that little bit of a stringent smell. I can see why you say that. Almost like a cleaning. Yeah, almost like a little bit of a cleaning smell, different from the frankincense.
Very.
When the mother-child bond has been disrupted, the soul may lose its childlike ability to trust. Feelings of trust are replaced with feelings of fear and a belief that the world is unsafe. Myrrh assists individuals in letting go of fear through reestablishing a healthy connection to the earth and to one's own mother. Myrrh rekindles trust within the soul. As the individual learns to once again live in trust, confidence in the goodness of life returns and the soul feels safe and more at home. And it is a companion to frankincense. So you could use those together. But what I wanted to bring out kind of with this signature, how we look at the signatures. I think I have this in the next slide. Yeah, frankincense and myrrh. I don't know if you noticed on this slide, the resin, okay? The resin that's on there. And this is a frankincense tree this is what the resin can look like. And that's what they do is they actually go and scar. They take a knife and they cut into the bark, and then the tree weeps. And they call these tears. These are called tears, resin tears. And so that's how they go and collect them. And that's with the myrrh and with the frankincense. So I just kind of think about that. When I'm sad and crying, when I have tears, when I have grief,
abandonment,
just anything that is a hurt that you feel, frankincense or myrrh to help with those tears. Whenever you feel like you've had a scar. And that's why frankincense is so great for skin and scarring. Put this, if it's a scar on your heart, over your heart. So that was something I wanted to bring out about frankincense and myrrh in doing that inner deep work. These are wonderforful for that. And
how much frankincense heals scars. That needs to go in the book.
Yeah. Whether it be an emotional one or a physical one. And if you can identify that maybe this is something that came from your, like a mother wound or something, put more with it. support yourself in that way. Next one I kind of thought I wanted to talk about, what I thought was interesting, is coriander. So when you look at the coriander seed, and I don't know how many of you have had one. I don't have one. I'm like, I need to go find one now because I need to experiment. But have you ever crushed a coriander seed within your fingers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Beth, is it easy to crush with your fingers?
No, you have to, like, even between your fingernails, it's difficult to do. It's very, very strong. But
Okay.
when you do get it crushed, it's incredibly pungent.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like there's no escaping the smell. You could back up and you would still. It's incredibly pungent. Yeah. And really strong.
So when I looked up the personality of coriander, it's integrity. And I thought, I wonder if that, because looking at that shell, it is hard. It is solid. For me, that's what integrity is. It's like immovable. It is hard. Not to be a bad thing, but also, the goodness of the coriander seed is within it. So, that's something, if we want to look at it on a negative side, if we want to get to the good thing, we have to crush the cell, because integrity. I mean, anything. I don't want to say integrity can be bad, but anything can have like that negative connotation. Like if I'm too stuck in something, I could be stubborn. Does that make sense? I could be hard, or my heart could be hardened on something, and so maybe this would help with that. So sometimes you have to do things to soften it to get to the inside, whether it's soaking it or crushing it. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting, like, possible doctrine of signature on coriander. For me, that's what I extrapolated. Do you guys want to learn what they say about this oil?
Really cool.
There's time.
Okay.
Do you feel like you have enough time? Because I'll read it for you. You don't have to look it up.
Okay, it's right here. Go ahead. You read it.
Coriander is the oil of integrity, specifically integrity within oneself. The person in need of coriander oil may be trapped in a cycle of serving others while neglecting their own needs. They may also have a strong desire to do what is right and correct. Often the mind's perspective on the right way is too limited when seen only from their perspective. Coriander reminds individuals there is more than one way to do something, and that fitting in often requires betraying the true self. Coriander moves the individual from doing things for the acceptance of others to honoring and living from the true self. There are as many ways of being as there are people in the world. Each soul must learn its own way of living and being. Coriander gives courage to step out of the box and risk being who one really is. Coriander teaches that each individual is a gift to the world with something unique, which no one else has to offer. Only they can express their uniqueness. Integrity within oneself means living in connection with what one's spirit urges and directs. Coriander helps individuals live from the true self. We are different by design. That's coriander.
That is coriander, isn't it?
Yes.
I am looking up to see what they have in here for that. I read in the back, if you look up, a certain thing that you want to do, it'll give you like the oils and a possible visual and a thing to say. I'm seeing if there is something in here about like possibly integrity. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, but it doesn't give the, for some reason, it doesn't give like a little saying. It doesn't give a saying to everything. Oh, you can then make up your own.
Companion oil is ginger to help you warm.
Yeah. And it's a root too, so that's interesting.
Yeah, just warm.
So I hope this kind of just gives you a little bit of a deeper understanding of how to use the oils emotionally. And you definitely can intuitive things, but it brings out more when you can have a guide. And that's why I love this book. This book guides me and gives me more information on what I am trying to reveal about myself and change and become and seek more about understanding myself. Any questions?
Something that keeps coming up over and over again for me is, and it's not a question, it's just a thought, is that just like with emotions, I had a a friend who's a psychologist, and she's like, Jacine, for emotions, you've got to name it to tame it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that goes back to the gift of presence when we actually, and it's true, I work in the chiropractic field, and when we have patients that come in and do physical therapy, if they're just going through the motions and doing it without you touching the muscle and saying, focus right here, mm-hmm. it doesn't do as much power. There's not as much power. I mean, they're getting the movement, but it's not that focused movement. And so what I really appreciate, and I'm going to be ordering the book, is being able to, I've got oils, but that intention is like so needed. And it has power when we do it with intention and purpose. So I appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And maybe I can share a little. Oh, go ahead, Carol. Did you have something?
So I just had a quick question. So sometimes people manifest being allergic. Like for a while, I think I was allergic to lavender. I don't know if it was the kind the one I have now doesn't seem to bother me, but I would wake up with a stuffy nose, or if I had it seems like somewhere they say if you use it after a while, then you're not allergic, but I don't understand that science.
Yeah, because there are some oils that I am like, because I have asthma, sometimes I'm like, I almost feel like I'm like getting a little like tense in my lungs and everything. And I think maybe I'm overwhelmed with it. So like making sure you cut it with with a coconut, fractionated coconut oil, make it like really diluted. Maybe you have this like hypersensitivity to it at that intenseness. But if you dilute it, you can get used to it until, but then it also might be there because our plants are varied, and it might be that might just not be the vibration or the energy of that one plant that meshes with you. Who knows?
Maybe that's why the cheaper brand of lavender works better for me than the expensive. Maybe it's more diluted.
Yeah, I bet it is. That's why it's cheaper. So get the good kind and then dilute it.
Yeah, get the good kind and dilute it, so you're not getting some weird petroleum byproduct that
something. I do know that there are different types of lavender too. There are many, many different types of lavender. So even going through the lavender farm in Maui, there were some lavenders that I was like, no,
not my friend.
No. And same thing. So like I had the doTERRA and the Young Living lavender side by side, and I can't do the Young Living. It physically hurts my face, like to smell it, and like it hurt right up in here. Mm-hmm. And so, but whatever the blend that doTERRA has, I was able to do that one. So there are so many different blends, I guess.
I had that experience on that cruise that Beth and I were on together for Body Code. And there was a woman who was talking about her lavender. And we just kind of talked, and we were realizing that, they're both good lavenders, but maybe it's the vibration, because they are also possibly different plant species or whatever. Who knows?
Grown or who
exactly.
There's so many different things to factor in. Yeah.
So and I think that's what's so wonderful about us being like nature ourselves. We are drawn to what we need, and we're repelled from what we don't need.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really cool experience you had. Yeah.
And I had a hard time with. I noticed, Carolyn, that you're breathing your oils like this, real close. Put your arms out farther.
Yeah.
Oh,
out here.
Okay. Well, the lavender I have right now is just a Now brand, and it works fine for me, actually.
Just saying, if there's something that bothers you, try it farther away from your face.
Yeah. Okay.
Or dilute it first. You see, because there are some oils that I have to like dilute out, or you just like do not even get patchouli near me unless it is so diluted that I can barely smell it. That's the problem. Yeah. But that's my oil that I need to go look into. I'm like, hello, Yeah. But
go to bed.
But let's kind of end up, and if you have more questions, we can talk more. But this is one of my favorite quotes. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. Albert Einstein. You'll understand it. Just look deep into it.
Yeah.
Right. Any more questions? Anybody want to add anything as they understand their journey with oils a little bit better?
Thank you.
I feel a lot better after smelling all these.
Well, hello. There's a reason your brain is happy and calm now.
It's sending out messages all over your body saying,
okay, safe. Yeah.
Safe, life is good. Yeah. It's happy.
This has been really good. It's been really helpful.
Oh, thank you, Kara.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. You know so much. I just love that you will share.
I just don't know if I know so much. I can gather information and present it. That's what I can do.
You know so much and you're humble.
Well, and it's also like I learned something, like when I learned about Doctrine of Signatures, that was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I have to tell everybody, and so, it's just, I'm one of those. I like to pass on the good news. Yeah.
So cool. Well, can I take just a second and remind everybody that we are having a Coach and Clear class on the 1st of May. And we're really excited. We're going to do a class on how it works, why it works, and why you should even care. Why it is such a powerful force to be in a Coach and Clear session. We're going to be doing it in the evening. So if people have a hard time getting together on a weekday because of work, it'll be on a Monday night at 7 Central. And we'll have the link posted on the 50/50 page for anybody that wants to come. Then other things that are going on, JC, you've got book club on Wednesday, right? Continuing with Brown's book.
Yeah, we're doing the next 2 chapters. So chapter 2 and chapter 3. And man, I want to say our discussion on Wednesday was probably one of my most favorite, and I've been doing this for 3 years, and was one of my most favorite and deep, at the depth of it. And the participation was just amazing. It was great.
What's the book? What's the name of the book?
It's Atlas. It's Brene Brown, Atlas of the Heart.
Oh, Atlas of the Heart.
I have it right here.
And it's such a beautiful book. Oh my gosh.
Jen's going to hold it up for us here in just a second. She's getting it.
Mm-hmm.
It's in by my bed. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah,
hold on. I have mine right here on my desk. I'll show you. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Beth, I have a question about that Coaching Clear class. Can men come to that? Like if Tim wanted to come to that, is that?
Come if you wanted to come. It's fine.
It's
just for people of faith in general.
Okay. If he wanted to continue on for the trial, I mean, I didn't know if it was just for women. I didn't know what the...
We have never had a man come to Coach and Clear. We're going to have to kind of talk about that a little bit and see. Yeah. Let's talk about it as a group and see how our group feels. But I mean... Okay.
I don't know if he'll stay with it, but he says he would like to understand how it works. But, we can go from there.
Well, definitely have him come to class on the 1st of May because I'll be doing probably 20 minutes of actual instruction with a PowerPoint, the science behind it, the reason that we can do group clearings and how that really works.
Yeah, so that would be really helpful.
In depth.
So, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome. That would be really fun to have Tim come, though. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Then we have Coach and Clear on Tuesday and we have Coach Training on Thursday. And next month, we're going to do another Jumpstart. This time, I think it's the 6th of May. It's the first Saturday in May. And it's going to be, did you know your body can talk? And all the ways your body communicates to you through inner knowing, through muscles constricting or relaxing, all the different ways your body is actually your gift and your finest communicator. So we'll be talking about that a month from now.
And when you don't listen to your body when it talks, then it will end up yelling at you.
Well, yeah, because it's going to be heard one way or another.
Yes,
yeah.
It will.
Shutting down. Just
that's part of the yelling.
Done.
Yeah. Well, if you're not playing, I'm not playing the game. Go there. Yeah. So we'll be talking about that and doing a little bit more practice in listening to the way our body communicates to us. It's going to be really fun.
It's an amazing instrument we have to navigate this world.
Yeah.
You can use it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Really, Jenn, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. This is great.
And we'll all talk next month.
Sounds good.
That's good. Thank you.
Guys.
Bye, guys.
To start a brand new chapter of my heart. take me with you. I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to make a choice. This new path.
Hey, thanks for joining us today in A Creator-Based Life. I hope you felt that compassion, mindfulness, and hope you came seeking today. You can find more of it at cmhcoaching.com or on Linktree/CMHcoaching. Of course, any social media outlet, we're there too. Because you felt the benefit and light in this message, please invite those you care deeply about to join us. Help us to create a ripple effect across the globe of compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Then we can create a creator-based life together. Have a great week, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
To let go, I surrender, and I know I surrender, and I know I surrender, and I know.